Today I want to show you 5 really good reasons to use presets on the Digitakt II. This will 100% make your life easier on the Digitakt II and just allow you to get a lot more out of this instrument. The first one I want to show you is making presets out of loops. The example I'm going to use is this noise pumping effect. There's a couple of reasons why you would save this as a preset. One, I don't want to have to go searching for it again. I'm browsing through all my samples, looking for this particular sound that I like. But the really good reason for this is that this sample has rhythm to it. And because this sample has rhythm to it, it's not going to work at just any tempo. There's a couple of things that we can do about it, and making a preset is what's going to really help us with this process. We could use a stretch machine to time stretch that noise sweep. This would only sound good if the original tempo of the noise effect was very close to the tempo that I'm actually going to use this particular effect in. What I want to do is I want to go function source and go and switch over to a repitch machine. While it does change the pitch, it sounds so much cleaner. What's really unique and what's so cool about this and why you want to save this as a preset is that no matter what tempo I put this at, no matter what project I load this into, this effect is going to work. If this was some sort of percussive loop, like a shaker loop or something, my shaker loop would just work in my project. So when it comes to drums, I usually use the repitch machine for this particular action. To me, it will just sound better. So if I bring this back down to a tempo I would probably use it at, like closer to 140 for like a techno track or something. I believe it's a 4-bar loop. All I have to do is go and save this as a preset. So I go preset, save, choose an empty slot, name it, and I'll save it as a sound effect and go back up here and hit save. Now, anytime I want to use this noise sweep, I can pull it into my project and it will automatically work at the tempo of my current project. I love that about this machine. All right, moving on to reason number 2 to use presets in your Digitakt II. This second reason is a little bit more unique, and it's your wavetables. Your Digitakt happens to come with a bunch of wavetables, but what do you do with the wavetables that come with the factory content? Let's explore that right now and save it as a preset. I'm gonna go function source, and the one I actually want to use is the grid machine. I feel like the grid machine's kind of fallen off because we have the slice machine, but this is actually a great reason to continue to use the grid machine instead of the slice machine. It's just easier to use, gets the job done a lot quicker. Okay, so let's get a wavetable out of our Digitakt's factory content. So I'm gonna go into my source menu. I'm gonna go through my sample browser, just go to an empty spot and into oscillators, wavetables, and here's all these wavetables. They audition very nicely. And hit yes and load that into that slot. Now what I want to do with this grid machine, it's not very useful currently. I want to turn the grid machine up to 64. This is going to be the resolution of our wavetable. So these 64 slices of our wavetable is going to be where we can scan. Now we want to set the wavetable to oscillate by turning this to loop. And now these slice positions are actually going to loop, and we can sit and scan through the wavetable. Switch over to the keyboard mode, move slice off of note. We don't want to be on note. We have to be in one of the numbers. You can't be in the note value, otherwise it won't function the way we want it to. When you set to note value, it just does that. But if you go to a number, it'll play a particular slice and loop it. Now we can scan by just moving the slice position through the wavetable. You can also modulate your wavetable so you get it to scan for you. Target, slice, select, set the mode to half. When it's in half mode, it's only going to use half of the phase of your oscillator shape. Choose the ramp. Now the ramp will just use that first half, which makes it unipolar, so it's not going to go up and down. It's not going to take things backwards. We just want it to scan forward, or whichever direction we want it to go, but we don't want it to go forward and backwards. That's what this is going to achieve. If we want it to go through all 64 slices through the full resolution of our wavetable, we want to set the depth to at least 64. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll call it morph scan. Save it as a synth. And that's it. And now we have a great sounding synthesizer preset in our Digitakt. Moving on to number 3 is another synthesizer preset. This time we're gonna do a single cycle waveform. I love having like a Boards of Canada type patch in my Digitakt, so I wanna create one and save it as a preset. This one we're actually gonna leave our one-shot machine. Look for a blank slot again for me to load a sample into. Back in my oscillators menu, single cycles. I just want some sort of sawtooth. The actual saw is a pretty good one to do. We want to set it to cycle like we did with the wavetable. And now what I want to do is go to my modifier. We're going to target the pitch. There's 2 different ways to set this patch up. One of them is a really typical synthesizer patch where every time you hit a key, it's going to give you the exact same sound, so it's very repeatable. That would be using the mode trig on your LFO. We already have it targeting the tune. We would just set it anywhere below 0.30. Anything above 0.30 is going to get you into this like way out of tune territory. And even right at the cusp of 0.30, it's kind of gnarly. So if we turn the multiplier down, it sounds quite a bit better. We could go in and change our effects a little bit. Function effect, turn our delay into a ping pong delay, turn up the width of that ping pong, increase the feedback so it really bounces around for a while, turn that reverb real big so it's just delicious sounding. Isn't that nice? We're not even using the filter yet. Wonderful. If I set this to free running mode, which is the default mode, it's gonna sound even more Boards of Canada-ish. I'm still sitting at right around the max value for the tune. The reason this sounds more so Boards of Canada-ish is that it's not resetting the phase of our LFO. So every time I hit the keyboard, we're getting a little bit of a different sound from each key. So and of course, there's lots more you could do with these synth patches. We could go ham on our modifiers, but just to keep this tutorial short, we'll leave it just like this. Go ahead and save it in my preset menu, new slot. We'll call it Boards Lead SY for synth, and then save it as synth. Cool. Now I want to show you the 4th reason to use presets, and this one's huge for me, like incredible, and honestly, probably the one that I use the most. This works on most of the new Electron boxes. This is creating a MIDI preset. Let's go to another blank track, function source, and go down to the bottom. We're going to select MIDI, and now if we have a machine plugged into our Digitakt, we hold function, press down, turn on the MIDI channel, select a MIDI channel that machine is assigned to. Say it's on channel 1. We'd save it like this, turn on pitch bend, aftertouch, mod wheel, breath control, program change if you want, bank if you need to. Save all these things. If the machine uses this stuff, this could be really useful for you. Go over to your next section, press down. If you hold function and long press on the encoder, MIDI learn pops up. Here you can just plug the output from your synthesizer into your Digitakt, and the Digitakt will listen to all the incoming messages from that synthesizer, and it will automatically put the correct CC messages in there. Incredibly useful. So you can go in, do all your MIDI learn, map out a different machine, say like it's a Novation base station or something like that, which is really fun to use with the Digitakt because that has instant patch switching on it. You can go ahead and map all your CCs. Once you're done doing that, go over here, push down to turn it on, and then check this out. Function, push down on the encoder, long press, and now you can name this. So for instance, if this was the cutoff, I would name it cut. If this one was the resonance, I would name it res. Now cutoff and resonance are right here, and I can actually see what they're called. I can map this out very quickly. You can map a machine. What's gonna take you 5 minutes to write in all the abbreviated names for the different things you wanna control in your synthesizer? So worth it. Here's a MIDI preset I had already made for my analog heat. What I was doing is making these mastering chains for my analog heat so that every time I switched patterns, my analog heat would change the mastering chain or the value of the compressor on a per pattern basis because your patterns are dynamic. So you can't just use the same dynamics for every single song. This allowed me to do that. Now, the last reason you want to use presets is a really fun one. It's extremely cool, and it allows you to use multiple machine types on any track. By default, when you load a machine on the Digitakt, it takes over the track. Anything that you do on that track, any of the sample slots that you jump through in your source menu, it's going to apply that machine type to those samples. So it would repitch whatever sample you have selected, or it would time stretch whatever sample you have selected, or it would cycle it, or whatever values you already have put into that machine. Now, when you save it as a preset, you can actually load a stretch machine, a grid machine, a slice machine, a one-shot, any of that stuff you can load onto a step. What we want to do is load a bunch of presets into our preset pool. To access your preset pool, go into your step editor, hold down a step and turn your level encoder. This brings up your preset pool. As you can see, I have one in here already. What I want to do is get a bunch of these in here. So I'm going to go into my preset section. I'm going to go to manage, and here we can audition them. Chip preset, the snare preset, this texture preset, this cowbell. Then we go left arrow, add to preset pool. Okay, cool. All of these presets are now loaded into my preset pool, and I have access to them on a per step basis. Hold down a trigger, and I can put this chip in. I've loaded one of my presets into the slot. It switches it over to a one-shot machine and has it set to cycle. So it's not using any of the slice machine's functionalities. If I go to edit slice points, it's not going to edit this one-shot because it's not loaded into the slice machine. This one is using a loop. A completely different machine than one that we had loaded, a different machine than the one-shot machine. We can even parameter lock these values on a per step basis as well. This is what makes the Digitakt the coolest. Honestly, hope that these tips really help you along the way with your Digitakt II, and I'll see you next time.